Welcome to Spice Island in the Pot. I am Arlene, your food designer. And on this show, we're going to be exploring a variety of ways that we can use our very own fruits, vegetables, and meats while incorporating other fun ingredients and cooking methods. Real easy stuff you can do right at home in your kitchen. We're going to also be doing a lot of local menus, and then we're going to put a little gourmet twist on it because, of course, that's my specialty. So we're going to do some healthy stuff, some not so healthy stuff, party hosting, wine pairing, outdoor cooking, and so much more. Today, we are cooking the ever popular, most traditional, one of my favorites, pilau. We're also going to do the gourmet twist to that, which would be a toss-up of some jasmine rice, really hearty vegetables, a little grilled chicken on the side with some orange chili sauce. So we're getting ready to make our pilau. I have all these really great ingredients in front of me. I have long grain white rice. I have pigeon peas, which is what we use generally for pilau. And pigeon peas is also called gongo beans, and it's really good for heart and digestive health. I have a little sweet corn, which I like to add to my pilau. I think it gives it a little something special. Of course, chicken. You can use any cut of chicken that you like. Legs, thighs, just cut them up into cubes and get the pot going. I personally like boneless chicken, so that's what I'm using today. Of course, we need fresh seasoning, the base of every single local dish you can think about. So here I have thyme, chive or spring onions, garlic, pimentos. So that's the seasoning we're going to use to cook everything with. And of course, we're going to simmer everything down in some coconut milk. Now, on the side of every good pilau deserves a simple but really good coleslaw. So for my coleslaw, two basic ingredients. I have cabbage, which has a lot of different things in it, but an interesting fact is that 60% of cabbage is actually vitamin C. But even though that's good, you can't have too much because it really introduces calories into your diet. So you want to watch that. Of course, we have cabbage, a little mayo to mix in to make that coleslaw. A really interesting fact about pilau is that there's so much variety of and versions of this meal all around the world. For example, the Middle Eastern countries and Central America, they have something called pilaf. And of course, Jamaica, they have their ever popular rice and peas. So we're gonna start by getting the chicken into a nice marinade of fresh seasoning. So I'm gonna just trim the fat off of my chicken breast. And I don't really like this little piece on this side, so I always take it off. And you wanna get this into not bite-sized cubes, a little bigger than that, because you wanna give the pilau a little structure. So I'm just dicing this up like this. So about this size is fine. If you want to go smaller, you can go smaller. That is totally up to you, but I just like when it has a little bulk to it. So I'm gonna do that. Now, traditionally, we do something called washing the meat, and not everybody does that, but we are going to do it today. And what washing the meat consists of is usually with lime. So we're just gonna do a lime here. Make sure you leave the seeds in your hands. So just about 2 chicken breasts, 1 lime, just the juice of 1 lime over it should be sufficient. And we just run it through some water and then we get the seasoning going. So we have all the fresh seasoning, and you can buy this pre-packaged like I have done, or if you just grow your own in the back, that's fine too. Whatever is good and fresh. And with this, you add everything to the blender: peeled garlic, pimentos, a little thyme, and of course the spring onions or the chive. Just want to put a little water. So if you have a cup of seasoning, half cup of water would work. You don't want it too runny, so we're gonna just blend this up. some of this to the chicken. Just pour it over. My bowl is a little too small. And of course you want to do a little salt. I put a little pepper, a little black pepper in this, and because I like a little spice, I do some chili flakes or fresh pepper sauce. So we mix this up and you set it aside. This you can do from the night before. You can do it days before and keep it in the freezer for convenience. But it's all gonna be good at the end. So to start the pilau, you need to brown the meat or caramelize in almost burnt sugar, to be exact. So I have a Dutch pot on medium heat, and you want to get some vegetable oil in there. Not too much, and you actually don't need a whole lot. So this is about 1/8 of a cup. Brown sugar. Some people also use white sugar because it just gets brown, but brown sugar is really the best. And this is about, I would say, a little less than 1/4 cup. Sometimes when you're cooking, cook with love, you don't always need all the measurements, and you can average how much brown you want your pilau, because some we have light, some is really dark. So, and you want the sugar to be, we're gonna just add a little more and give it a little stir so the oil and the sugar mixes in together. And you want to get it almost burnt, dark brown, so that when you add the meat gets the color. When you add the rice will also get a nice brown color. And when you're burning this sugar like this, you want to stand up and watch it. This was actually one of the first things my mother taught me to cook, and I got scared thinking that it was going to burn too much, and I threw the meat in and everything was white. We had light skin pilau that day. So you want to just monitor it a little bit, and my fire here is really low, so I'm just going to raise it just a little bit so we can get it going. And it's going to come up really bubbly really quickly, and it's going to get a nice brown color. Then you throw the meat in, and then you add the rice, and it's going to come together really nice. So the sugar is in the pot with the oil. It's bubbly, bubbly, bubbly. It's a nice brown color, and there's some darker brown in between. And this is kind of the consistency you want, like bubbly, fluffy, kind of dark, because you want it dark enough so that it covers and gives everything a really nice color. So this is the consistency that you're looking for. Now this part could be a little dangerous, so be very, very careful how you do this. You're going to add the chicken, and because there's water here and oil there, it's going to be a little sparkly. So just be very careful and close down. Add your chicken, stir it around. And what is going to happen is that it's going to sound like all the fuss and sizzle just dies all the way down. But that is just because you added a different temperature to the heat. And you stir around the chicken like this. And it's going to be really dark at first, and you want to let the chicken simmer in and take in some of the color, and then you're going to add the rice. And because our peas was a little pre-cooked, because it's canned peas, you add that after. And then at the very end, when everything is cooked together, we add the sweet corn. So I'm going to cover this and let this get some color for a little bit. Then I'm going to come back in with the rice. So while the chicken is on the stove being all simmered and getting good, I'm going to start my coleslaw. And this is something you can make the night before, so you don't have the hassle of everything on the same day that you're making your dish. I'm going to start with lime, about 1/4 of the lime. I'm rolling it so it gets a little soft, get the juices kind of going in there. And we're going to cut just a little piece, like so. So we have a little bit of lime juice here, and this gives the coleslaw, you know, a little zest, a little tang, something good. Then we're going to add some white sugar, about 1 tablespoon or 1/2. I'm going to do a little salt, about 2 pinches of salt, and 1.5 pinches of black pepper. To this, I'm going to do my mayo. So this is about, I'm not making a lot of coleslaw, so this is about 2 tablespoons roughly. And you can add more mayo depending on how creamy you want this to be. So this would be the base. And then you add your vegetables to this, more mayo if you see fit. So you can, if you have a food processor, you can chop your cabbage. I like mine thinly sliced. Some people like it really chunky. So what I'm doing here is that I'm just taking off the first set of leaves, which were usually on the outside, and you just take that first layer off and everything else is really good to use. So really nice sharp knife, making my slices. And if you don't use your whole cabbage, a really good way to store this is if you have like saran wrap or cling wrap, and then you wrap it really tightly and keep it in your vegetable drawer in your fridge, and it lasts a really long time. So I do this at the restaurant all the time, keep my vegetables nice and fresh. So I think that should be enough. I'm gonna add this there. Okay. Gonna get to this later. Then you want to do your carrots. Now I like to grate my carrots, and for the younger generation tuning in, this is a grater. This is what we used to before the food processor. It comes with different size. So I'm going to use the biggest side, which is shred on your food processor, but this is the manual version. So I'm just going to kind of go at an angle, hold the carrot down. You want to be careful for your fingers when you get down to the end of this. And this is right. So it's just about half a cabbage, maybe about a quarter cup of carrots. So we're going to add that in there. Just make a little space. And I'm going to mix this up. I think my judgment on bowls today was a little off. That happens sometimes. You think something is going to fit perfectly in a bowl, and then it turns out to be too small or too big. This is a really simple coleslaw, and I'm keeping it simple because our dish is just what we wanted. That traditional, good old local coleslaw and pilau dish. And I have to tell you, avocado goes perfectly with everything, but really, just really good with pilau. And my producer bought me a really nice avocado today, so we're gonna get that sliced up on this side, which comes at the very end. You don't want to cut that too early because it oxidizes, gets a little dark, so you want to cut it just when you're ready to serve it. So this is our coleslaw. And of course, you know, you have to taste everything, make sure it's all good. So I have a little bit of everything. Perfect. Creamy enough, zesty enough, sweet enough, there's enough sauce, enough pepper. Everything is good. I'm just gonna cover this over, put it in the fridge. I'm gonna check on that chicken, add my rice and my peas, and we're gonna continue with the pilau. This is the moment. You get to see everything bubbling up. We're gonna add the rest of the ingredients. Are you ready? This is a little hot. There we go. So boneless chicken cooks really fast. So this is gonna take chicken with bone a little longer to get to this place. This is why I like using boneless chicken, because it's faster. So to this, I'm gonna add my long grain white rice. Give that a little stir. And you can already see the rice absorbing the color of the brown goodness that we did before. It's gonna come out really good. So if it looks like this is okay, because rice will tend to fluff up when it cooks, so it's gonna balance off eventually. So we're adding our rice here. Now you can add more salt, more seasoning to your taste. You don't have to add more salt because I already put salt in the seasoning for the chicken. If you're hypertensive and you want to do the less sodium, you can just not put salt and just use the fresh seasoning, and that will give it a really beautiful flavor. So as I've added my rice, I'm going to cover this down, let this cook a little more. I'm going to raise this from low to just about medium in the middle of high. Keep it covered and keep monitoring it. So I'm gonna get my coconut milk ready to add to my pilau as it simmers good and slow over there. So this measurement, typically I use, you know, a half a cup to anywhere about half to 3/4 cup of warm water. So before there were blenders, there was swizzle sticks. This is really old school. It actually has two uses. When you hold it like this, you put it into liquid and you mix, like this is the action. But when you hold it like this was actually a tool for spanking. When you're bad, I got some of these from my grandmother. So, but today we're not spanking anybody, so we're going to do this. So we have half cup of coconut milk powder. And I'm going to add about 3/4 cups of water. We're gonna swizzle this up. I actually have tiny swizzle sticks that I used to make to kind of float my milk up for my coffee in the morning. And as you can see, it works really well. Just like this, nice and fluffy and good. Get it all mixed in. Warm water helps dissolve the milk. And like I said, it gives it this really nice frothy kind of feel. And you always want to do good things to your food. Treat every ingredient really well to make sure that it comes out really good. So I'm gonna add this to my pilau, add some ketchup, some peas, and continue the pot as we go. So it's coconut milk time, adding that creamy goodness to the pilau. So as you can see, we have a really nice color. The rice is cooking up. It's gonna make nice and fluffy and match up to the amount of chicken. Of course, if you want to do a pilau that is more meat than rice, of course you can do that. It's your pilau, you can do anything you want. So I'm gonna add a little bit of coconut milk, and you wanna add this just a little bit at a time because you don't want milky pilau. So I'm gonna add a little bit, give it a stir. And you don't want to have your pilau just swimming in liquid. You want to kind of keep it like a slow steaming process. So when the rice does actually get cooked, it's not that you have to strain out some of the water as if you boiled the rice. So I think this is a good amount of coconut milk for this. And this you can also store in the fridge. So if you mix too much, you get a nice little bottle, like a reused mayo bottle. Put some of this in there, and that will work just fine for at least a week or two. So I'm gonna add a little ketchup. I find Caribbean cooking requires a lot of ketchup than other cuisines that I make. But I don't mind, I like ketchup for everything, and then we also add salt to everything. So whenever I go to my friend's house, she has strawberries, I put salt with strawberries. She thinks it's gross, but I tell her I'm just a Trinbago girl. So this is coming along really nicely, and I want to add my peas. Now remember I said before, these peas, they're a little soft, so they could squeeze and burst like this, so they're kind of pre-cooked. But you want to put them in at this point so that it soaks up some of the flavor. So I'm going to add some peas. I'm going to add the whole thing because peas is very good for you. Pilau requires a lot of stirring, so be prepared for that. So as I add my peas in there, I want to season up, because each time you add a layer of something to your meals, you want to season up and make sure that, you know, everything is seasoned really nicely. So remember this is the staple of all local cooking. It's the chive or spring onion mixed with garlic, flavor, pepper. There's a little thyme in there. So I always keep this handy. And this is another thing you can make a lot of and store in bottles or in bags in the freezer. So I'm gonna just add a little seasoning, because since we added the rice and the peas, we didn't add any seasoning to it. I'm just gonna add a little bit. And everything you add a little bit of it at a time, because you can always add more of something you can't take away. All right. So this is a little thick and the rice isn't quite cooked yet. And of course we still have that beautiful corn to add. I'm gonna put a little bit of water, because like I said, you don't want it swimming, but you want to give it the opportunity to steam the rice. And you don't want wet pilau. So I'm gonna cover this one more time for about 20 more minutes and check on this again. So everything smells really, really good. I know we can't wait to get into this pilau and just eat it all up. So now you see the rice has fluffed up, ready to just be turned a little bit. Now you could have added carrots if you wanted to. You could have gotten one of those peas and carrot mixtures and added that. I just like regular pigeon peas and corn. So it's totally up to you. The vegetables are optional. So I'm going to add my corn to this. And I add the corn last because this is already sweet corn. It's already cooked. And it's just to add to the pilau like this. And I usually add this when it's just about done. If you notice, when I pull from the side of the pot, there's no liquid, there's no water, so everything is perfect so far. I add my corn. I give it a nice stir. I take off the fire and I cover this back so this steam will kind of have the corn absorb the flavors. So I'm gonna get some plates out. Got that really good avocado that I got this morning. I'm gonna plate up and taste. Finally, everything is complete and we get to eat. So our pilau with coleslaw and this beautiful avocado is our meal for today. So let's plate it up. Here we go. Woo. So the corn, the pigeon peas, everything has its flavor. There's a chicken. We use all that good, fresh, local seasoning. We had coconut milk. We had a little ketchup. It's seasoned perfectly and cooked perfectly. One of the really fun things about pilau is that it tastes even better the next day and the next day. So you can cook a whole big pot of pilau, put it in the fridge, and keep warming it up, warming it up, warming it up until it's all done. So let me get myself a plate, a little chicken, a little rice. Here we go. Nice. Get that. Of course, the coleslaw goes great with pilau. It's like a must-have. Let's get some of that there. Mayo is a nice creaminess. There's a little sugar in there. It's a little sweet. There's a little lime juice in there. It's a little zesty. Finally, my favorite part, avocado is actually one of my favorite things. It is really fun to eat. In my house, everybody gets their own avocado because we don't share. And I did write an article once about how to eat a whole avocado, and there were some fun recipes in there too. So I'm just going to cut off a little slice. And sometimes you have to cut out some of the bad parts, like I have to do to this one. I'm so sorry. We're gonna get rid of that. But it's going to be good either way. Now, sometimes when you're serving avocado, you do a little salt over it. Some people crush it up, make a little guacamole, and that's fine. But because there's all this seasoning in the food, I like to leave mine plain. So I'm just gonna get the skin out like this. Cut this out. Sometimes this process goes really smoothly and sometimes not so smooth. It gives a little trouble. Here we go. So I'm going to slice. And this is one of our traditional meals. It's good all year long. And we also make this Christmas Eve night because we're too busy putting up the curtains and doing all these other things. So we just make this one pot and everybody gets to eat. So this is our traditional pigeon peas pilau with corn, and we're serving this up with coleslaw and fresh avocado. When we come back, we're going to be cooking up some jasmine rice with vegetables, grilled chicken with an orange chili sauce. You are watching Spice Island in the pot. See you when I get back.